Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Prog Report podcast. We have a very special top 5 episode. We haven't done one of these in a while. Maybe we've run out of bands. I'm not sure. But we're going to do one with a band that came back recently into all of our lives, the Winery Dogs. Of course, with Mike Portnoy, Richie Kotzen, and Billy Sheehan, a really great rock trio that I think all of you like. And joining me on this are our good friends Kyle Fagala.
Hey, everybody.
And Christian Rios, who you guys know from all his video work. And he's been on the podcast before a few times. Got the Winery Dogs shirt on. And actually, Chris and I saw the band, what, about a month ago?
Exactly a month ago, on the 25th.
Yeah. And then, Kyle, you saw them just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, their last show on the tour in Nashville at the Brooklyn Bowl. So it was awesome.
Yeah, and they've been on a break, and I guess now they're heading over to Europe. So, they've made quite the splash. I mean, it was a really impressive return, I think. I don't know that everybody expected that. I'm not sure they expected it, that they'd be welcomed back so well, and that the album would be so well received and covered by everywhere, and tons of video views and all that kind of stuff, which is really cool to see. I mean, they're certainly worthy of it, and just amazing musicians. I think everybody knows their credentials. I don't think we need to go over too much of that, but a little history of the band. I guess, Kyle, you're probably more aware of some of the history than me. I'm not sure, but
yeah. So I mean, in terms of like the history that always gets tossed around, it was that Mike and Billy recorded with
John Sykes.
John Sykes, yeah, exactly. And so actually they had several songs recorded. It got shelved, and I think it was just a sort of work ethic difference between John in particular and the rest of the band. Let's be honest, probably Mike, as much as anything. I think he wants to get in and get out and, get on to the next thing. And that's obviously not how all artists are. And so Eddie Trunk, who I think I've heard him say this no less than 37 times, and God bless him, but he put up Richie Kotzen as an idea, and it was great that he did, because for me, like in kind of the twilight of Mike's time in Dream Theater, I was a big fan of Nightmare. I thought it was great. At the time, I was less excited about Dream Theater and certainly more excited, particularly of that Avenged Sevenfold album. I don't like everything they did, but I think Nightmare is perhaps their best album top to bottom. And so I was hopeful that he would continue in that way. And then Mike's first album post Dream Theater was Adrenaline Mob. Right. And I did not love Adrenaline Mob. Okay. And so then I don't have the exact sequence in order, but I think Flying Colors came out first in 12, I think.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And I loved it. I mean, I still stand by that. That is probably my favorite of their albums, which is not what everyone says. And then 2013, it was the Winery Dogs. And so it ended up that it was the perfect mix. I think, obviously Billy and Richie have some history, and, Mike's played with everybody, but I think as power trios go, especially with the little bit of prog that they've got in them, they're really one of my favorite power trios. And that first album still stands up. So there's your little history lesson spontaneously.
Yeah. Well done. Well done. All right. So why don't we go ahead and get started? We'll each do 5 songs. We'll go around in a circle there. Kyle, we'll give you the first pick here, your number 5 choice.
Lucky me. All right. Well, I will say I've been fortunate to see the Winery Dogs on every one of their tours. And so that's been kind of cool to see, them as a band evolve. And, on their first tour, they're doing cover songs in it. And, now seeing them this far down the line, I mean, they've got over 10 years behind them. And so it's pretty cool to see them as like a fully developed band, and a huge crowd for the band. I mean, as Mike's kind of post Dream Theater career goes, this is his biggest band. And I mean, these are the biggest audiences that he plays to, except for Twisted Sister, but you get the point. All right. So for me, my number 5 song is going to be from their most recent album, their third album. And it's really my favorite on the album. And it's not like a single or anything, but it is The Red Wine. And so it starts with, to my ear, sort of a classic like Rush vibe. And then it sort of gives way to kind of their characteristic sort of blues rock vibe with a little bit of the technical flair that makes them interesting. Also, I love on this song that live Billy pulls out an actual bottle of red wine and kind of slides it up and down the neck of the guitar, which is just kind of cool. It's also their longest song. So while the Winery Dogs...
Is it really off of all 3 albums? Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't know that.
Unless somebody can correct me.
No,
I did a very,
right.
I mean, I think it's only like what, 8 to
They
9
don't
minutes
have a
long.
lot of long songs, really. But
Right.
yeah.
No epics here. This is as close as they get in the form of a mini epic, I guess. But and it's not really the point of the song, but I do like that there's a little bit more adventure and exploration kind of innately because it's a little bit longer song. They also play it like kind of towards the end of their set, which I think speaks to how good of a song it is, and it connects really well. So
Yeah, it has a little bit of that Richie Kotzen gospel bluesy vibe in the chorus and in the hook. So it's a nice fit there. It's a song I warmed up to be honest. I didn't
yeah.
necessarily love it at first, but I actually do kind of like it now a lot. It's one of the better songs on the record. So
It's a song that I still need to spend more time with. I know for sure I love the outro, after the solo, after that main
Mhm.
section, the first 4 minutes, those last 2 minutes with the solo and just the change of tempo. That's when like it really gets me. So Winery Dogs is great at closing their albums, and the red wine definitely is up there with, they're, worthy of a closer of a Winery Dogs album. It's just one I personally need to spend more time with, but it is a great song. And
yeah,
Well, I also just love red wine. So that's probably, I may just be picking it because I love to drink red wine. I don't know. So
there you go. All right, Chris, you're number 5.
my number 5 is actually from Hot Streak, and not one that I think gets mentioned a lot, but my number 5 is The Devil You Know. Um, in my opinion, I think The Devil You Know, it's every good rock band has like a devil song. The
Yeah, that
AC,
might be true actually.
AC/DC, has Hell's Bells. Rolling Stones has Sympathy for the Devil, and this is the Winery Dogs Devil song, and it's definitely, in my opinion, up there with those songs. Um, I just really like the power behind it. The chorus is such a powerful chorus with Richie just wailing off uh, probably some of his best vocals in any Winery Dog song.
Okay, you know what? I have to say that I don't even really remember that song.
yeah, it's towards
I
the end of the second album. And you were talking about earlier, like you need to spend more time with some of the third album. The second album is probably the one I've listened to the least. And I think what you said about it having maybe some higher highs, but it always felt a little uneven to me. And I think even stylistically, and kind of, as you know, they like did a really quick turnaround from the first album. They tore the mess out of it. They made the second album. They tore the mess out of that. And then they took like what, 8 years off, I guess, before doing the third
Somewhat,
one. And so I almost feel like they were literally like trying to get it out a little quicker. And they may not think that. And there's probably some people that really love the second album. But for me, like for whatever it's worth, I rank first album's their best. I think it's a pretty perfect album. And then for me, it's probably the third album, then the second album. But I like the second and third about the
I
same.
feel
But yeah,
like
this
most people may feel that way. You
yeah.
know,
Well,
um,
I would definitely encourage you to revisit the second album.
I
Oh yeah.
should.
The thing about the second album, I feel it goes a little long. When I say it has higher highs, if the album were about 9, 10 songs, I think it would be like a really solid album. It's
Well,
the
to me, this
That's
kind
fair.
of music is better when it's more concise.
Yeah.
10, 11 songs, they're this sort of get in, get out kind of thing. This kind of music that is very straightforward runs its course once you get to 13, 14, 15 songs. It's like, okay,
So
you
13
know,
songs on that one, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, about there. Yeah, there's a couple that I definitely skip. No offense to the
yeah.
Winery Dogs,
But
but
well, we'll get into it more. But
no, I mean,
I'm gonna get into that album too.
let me finish my thoughts on the Devil You Know. I would definitely encourage you guys to revisit that one. I know it's towards the end of the album, but it's just a really good rocker, man. And we actually had a conversation, Roy and I, with Mike after the show at the Culture Room, and it was originally going to be on the set list, or they were considering it.
Hmm.
Uh, Bummer that it wasn't. Who knows? Right now they're starting their South American tour. Might make it on there, but it's just one of those songs that I think really hypes up the crowd. It's one of those if you know you know situations. Like if you're a fan of the song, you're gonna
Right, right, right.
really get hyped up because
When
it's
I guess for Roy and me, it's the devil you don't know because, but hey, who doesn't
Uh,
love the devil, right? And
right.
you know
uh, okay.
what?
Well, I'm gonna go a completely different direction, I guess. For mine, the new album, I'm gonna go
Yep.
there. And it's I don't know, it's a surprising pick for me, but I sort of dig this one, and it's really mellow, but I like how it works. Lorelei, the
Mhm.
song right before the red wine, actually
Yep.
towards the end. Um, a little bit of that regret vibe from the first record, but a really good guitar hook melody they sing. The solo's great, of course. And yeah, I don't know. It's one that sort of sticks out to me from the beginning when I heard the record, where I was waiting for some kind of strong ballad type song. And the new album actually doesn't have another one other than this, and so
Mhm.
you finally wait and wait and wait, and it finally comes on towards the end. So yeah, that's the one I'm gonna go with. And yeah, my picks are a little bit weird, not sort of.
No, no, that song is definitely a standout for me
Yeah.
from the album. It's definitely slower, definitely has the regret vibe, but it's yeah, no, it's a nice slower tempo song. I one of the first ones that stood out to me off of three.
Yeah,
One of the reasons I didn't pick it, I considered it, was maybe its similarity to another song that I pick later. So I think that's totally
yeah.
understandable. And when are your
Well,
lists not weird, Roy? I mean, they're always weird. It's okay.
we have to do that. Yeah, we
Yeah.
have to.
Keep it weird.
Okay, so red wine, Devil You Know, and Lorelei. Okay, Kyle, your next one.
Yeah. So I'm going to jump into the second album, and this is the lead track. It was the lead single. It's awesome. They played it when I saw them, and it was really great. And it has kind of like, there's a certain style to the band that, to be honest, they kind of replicated on all their lead tracks a little bit, like where it's all three instruments in unison, and they're kind of like doing like a quick sort of technical little section. But each song is different. But this is the song Oblivion.
Yeah.
Starts out super high energy, has a big technical open, then it kind of opens up with some really cool kind of bass effects, little whistles and moans that Billy can only do like Billy does with his bass. And his tone on that song in particular is just a standout to me. Of course, there's also a really great solo. And I actually think this might be one of the better songs to introduce the band to somebody. And there's a handful of them that work on that level, but this is a song, like if you like rock music even a little bit and you heard this, I would be shocked for you to not like it. I actually saw a comment on this video. It's got, like 4 or 5 million views, which is not a small amount on YouTube. And there was someone that was calling out the number of dislikes. It was like 700 dislikes, which is a whole nother like subtopic, is who goes and watches a YouTube video and gives it a thumbs down,
No,
Yeah. Like, I don't like this.
don't
Like, what
like
is there not
this.
to like about Oblivion, So, but anyway, definitely a great song. And again, from Hot Streak. So,
That's a
Interesting.
good one. That's one of the best songs on that album for sure. And it was a great introduction to that album when it came out. I
mhm.
My only feeling was that I thought it was too um like it was almost like they went into a room and said, "We have to write a song like this."
Yeah, is it like twist again for
Right,
Chubby Checker or something,
right,
Like we
territory.
we got to do the
Yeah.
twist again. So what's it going to be? We'll call it twist again, like we did last summer. There's a little bit of that. And again, like you could make the same argument about Xanadu. It has a similar like approach, but I guess if AC/DC has done it on 24 albums, like I think it's okay on a third
Yeah,
album,
yeah,
so I
sure.
mean, but that is kind of like the I guess the map or the recipe that works for them. And so it does have its own unique qualities. I really do like it, but yeah, that is definitely part of why I like it, probably.
Yeah, agreed.
I remember after the debut album and during that tour, I was, just on YouTube. I like to watch like live performances, of some of my
Sure.
favorite bands, how they do and on certain shows. I just kind of like to stay updated with that. But during that first tour, the end of that first tour, one of the YouTube videos that popped up was new Winery Dog song, Oblivion, exclusive. This was before Hot Streak came out, like
Hmm.
what, like half a year before it. So I had to hear it through that crappy phone quality, and even through that, I'm like, "Whoa, what song is this?" It just sounds, like not like nothing in the first album, in my opinion. But yeah, definitely an awesome opener. Probably, well, I mean, we'll get to openers, I guess, later on in this
Yeah.
Yeah.
top list,
No, it's a
but
good one.
it's definitely an awesome.
Well, go ahead and jump into your pick then. Your next one.
Oh, my next song is off of three, and for me, I'm going with Mad World. Uh,
Yep.
There's only been two singles off of three. I like Mad World better. Nothing wrong with Xanadu. I actually love Xanadu, but Mad World was the one that I'm like, I just like that slower Winery Dogs, that more bluesy vibe. I love the message that Richie is singing throughout the song. You know, it's a crazy world. You know, we gotta love each other. You know, just kind of lovey dovey, but um, I love the pre-chorus. Just overall, the sound I think is it's probably my favorite song off the new
That's a great one. I mean, it totally seemed like an obvious single,
Mhm.
when
Yeah,
they put it
definitely
out.
worthy single and a great follow-up to Xanadu.
Yeah. No, I dig that one. I think that's one of the stronger tracks on that album as well. The album starts off really strong.
Mhm.
The first, I think
Yeah,
the first three songs are killer.
yeah.
So yeah, I dig
Well,
that
with
one.
Mad World, it's just during the verse with Richie, it's it's Mike doing the drums, but it's just Billy's bass is so prominent. You're
Well, they
grooving.
make a lot of music with just the three of them playing. It sounds like a
Right.
lot of, it's very full sounding, even on those verses and stuff. And they're not
Yeah,
overdubbing a whole bunch of stuff. It's
Mm-mm.
really, it's
it's
three
just them
instruments
three, but
going. Yeah.
it sounds so full, and yeah, you
That's
definitely get
Billy,
that
man.
feeling
Billy's bass playing
yeah,
covers so much musical ground.
Yeah, I mean, Richie is able to do a lot since he picks too. I mean, it's not unlike other guitar players who use their fingers, and there's just a lot more going on. And it
yeah,
doesn't hurt again that their tones, like their individual tones, are incredible. The way that Mike hits the drums, the way that Billy, the sounds he can get out of his bass are unreal. And then Richie's as good as any guitar player I've seen. So that's why they work so well as a trio. And it's the same reason that Rush works really well as a trio. Same reason the Police works really well. Each individual person has, you can pick their sound and their style out of anyone else playing the guitar or the bass or the drums.
I
definitely.
always thought it would be fun to be in just a rock trio,
It'd be awesome.
because
Decisions would be easier. It's a
yeah, you
majority
just get
rules.
there, you
Yep.
just get out there. There's something to that, to just like plug in and then you play, three of you, guitar, bass, drums, and just go. It is cool.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna go with my fourth choice. I This is one I've always really liked, and it's out of left field pick off the second record, Ghost Town. I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys are familiar with
Oh,
that one.
wow.
Yeah, I've
That is
always
out of left
this
field.
was the standout song for me from that album, from the minute I got that record.
That's more
I
left field than my number five.
I just like
Maybe.
I just like the sort of driving groove about it, that it's very different sounding for them. And then the chorus is great, and it's
Yeah,
got that kind of
that's an awesome
bombastic
chorus.
opening.
That's definitely
Um,
an awesome chorus.
yeah, but I like that whole kind of just I don't know, if he's sort of playing kind of like a subtle double bass thing going on throughout like the whole song, and Billy's got the bass going, and it sounds very different to me from a lot of their other stuff. So that's going to be my lone pick from that record, foreshadowing. But yeah, that's always been my favorite song from there. I knew right away it was going to be on here. I always thought that should have been a single too. Okay, so we had Oblivion, Mad World, Ghost Town. So far, no repeats. Kyle, what's your number three?
I was just looking it up just to see, but they did play Ghost Town on the Hot Streak tour. They
Mhm.
did play Devil, you know. So I have to say, I don't think that either one is really like a deep cut choice. I think those are both like
If they
completely.
play live, that doesn't count.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's
It's still a deep
obviously
cut,
they
though.
tend to agree with you too, you know. So,
Yeah,
all right. So, are we already on the third pick? This is great.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my third pick is going to be, and I'll just say this: I think my top three on any other given Sunday could probably change. They are all from the first album, which, again, I've already said it, but and it's a 13 track album. But it to me, there's no skippable tracks. I think it's as close to a perfect album, from like a modern like rock trio, let's say. I mean, really just a modern rock album. I mean, I really like Them Crooked Vultures only album. I think that's like a modern rock classic. I mean, there's a few others that I can name off, but this is in that camp for me. But anyway, the song that today gets to be number three is The Other Side. Um, it has an incredible vocal part. And Richie's got a great voice because he has a big his number of octaves he can sing is quite a bit, but in his high register there's something special that happens in his voice. And I know he gets compared to Chris Cornell all the time. I did it on the reaction video to Xanadu. I'm guilty of that as well, but he has obviously his own unique voice. But I think what people are comparing him to is the soulfulness and his ability to sing really high in such a way that it is reminiscent of Chris Cornell. And that's on this song. He's also doubling with the guitar as he's singing, which is something he does sometimes, which is kind of like a classic, like blues, but also you'll see a lot of like jazz and fusion guitar players, like someone like Pat Metheny or something would do that, but he does it in his own way. It's got one of his best solos. And then the cool thing about this song is they kind of go into this halftime feel during the outro, and then there's some drum ad libs. And so as a drummer, like anytime Mike is getting to kind of play on top of almost like an ostinato or like in a sort of a jammy way, it's really cool. And so this one, I mean, as I'm talking about, like maybe this should be number 1 or number 2, but it's a great song and it's really cool in the concert too. So The Other Side.
Yeah, it's a great rocker. Good choice there.
Yeah, seeing that one live definitely elevated that song more for me, especially during that solo. What Richie does to that solo in the live setting, just he probably extended it. I remember it going on a little longer than usual, but yeah, he just absolutely shred that entire song. Definitely a great pick off of the first album.
Yeah, that's one of the standout ones, I think, from that first record, one that everybody sort of took to, for sure. All right, Christian, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is also off of the first album. I could kind of agree with Kyle, where my top 3 could probably rotate depending how I'm feeling that day. Um, but I would have to give my number 3 to Regret. Regret is one of probably their best songs in their catalog. Definitely worthy of a top 5 point. But seeing it live was just an entirely different experience. Seeing that song live, um, it almost felt, it's very gospely, and
Mhm.
and
For sure.
it really shows what the Winery Dogs as a band contributes to Richie's songwriting. Because if I'm not mistaken, Regret originated as a Richie song. There's actually a demo of it on Spotify with just Richie,
Hmm.
which is good, but the Winery Dogs definitely takes it to a whole nother level. And I especially love what they did, what they do with it in a live setting after the main song is over and Richie says a paid debt. He says
Mhm.
the paid
Yeah,
debt
yeah.
line. In the studio, it immediately goes back into the track, but in the live setting, he says a paid deb. It just kind of holds it there for a
Yep.
while. The audience just kind of like stays there and pause, and then Mike comes in with the drum fill, and I'm
Mhm.
a big I
It's
understand.
extremely powerful live, man.
Yeah, no,
Really good.
it's such a powerful song live, studio and live version. Richie's organ playing, the solo. I'm not ashamed to say, I got pretty teary eyed during that performance. Not something that you do at a rock show, but the song is just that powerful, in my opinion. It's an awesome song. So that's my number
Yeah,
3.
yeah, for sure. Okay, so all right, we're gonna continue. You may have noticed that Kyle is in a different spot. So as we were talking, we had a little bit of an internet snafu, and we are back and continuing moving forward. So moving on, as these things happen. Okay, I'm gonna jump in. I was doing my number 3, which is from the new record, the third track, Breakthrough. Another one of my favorites off this album. I guess the second track from here that I picked. Um, I like Xanadu a lot when it came out. Obvious, that's a great obvious choice. I thought maybe one of you might pick it. So I went with another track that I liked a lot, which is Breakthrough. Really great chorus, very simple kind of pop song that I think could have been from any era. 70s kind of rock song. And I like the little guitar hook that he plays in the chorus after he's singing in between each line. That's the hook right there for me. And I think could have been another winner of a single for them as well. So it's a track they play live, and yeah, not much more to say about it, but I think it's a really good song.
Definitely a strong one. Definitely worthy of a single, for sure.
All right, Kyle, you're number 2.
Now, am I wrong? Did they not do the first 3 tracks on the album as singles? I thought they did. I know you said earlier it was only 2.
Breakthrough never was released. I think I
Hmm.
I, I even think that they may have mentioned it was gonna be, but I don't think it ever was.
Okay. My impression was that that's what they did. So we'll have to fact check, and
Might
I
be a
accept.
radio single. I don't know if
Yeah.
it hasn't released as a video single for sure.
Here's
Yeah.
okay. So it's what
Might be a radio
constitutes a single these days? It's not like we're buying little 45s. So
That's
An official video, I think, maybe is the thing. I
Okay.
mean, I
Radio
don't know if anybody worries about anything getting actually played on radio. That's new anymore. So
I mean, technically, everything's a single now that's on iTunes, right? And we're now into the
no.
next era.
So before an
I know, I'm
album comes
kidding.
out on iTunes,
I know, I'm kidding.
they'll be the separate tracks. But yeah,
It's a joke. All right.
sounds like a podcast on its own.
Yeah, right.
what is a single?
All right, so I'm so happy to be outside my house now on my cell phone, propping it up on my thigh. But we're moving on, right, to the top 2 pick, right? Okay. So this one's already been picked, and I regret not picking it before you because now I can't talk about it. But no, it's regret, and this one definitely could be my number 1 song choice. I think it's their best song live, and I think it's partly just Richie getting behind the keys. He actually, this is a fun fact I will share about Regret. He did do a little piece of Lorelei, at least in Nashville.
He does, yes. He did it at our show too. Yeah.
All right, cool. So he did get a little bit of what you like in there. This is the song that Mike plays on hot rod sticks, which are made by Promark, and so they give it a little bit of a softer touch. He's done that over the years on different transatlantic tracks. He does it on the new John Petrucci album. Well, new Terminal Velocity. He's done it kind of here and there, and it gives it sort of a unique sound. I actually have some sticks that he's used in tour on the first tour on that song hanging on my wall. But you know what? My internet went down, so I can't point them out to you. But huge fan of it. It's just a good barroom blues song, and it's just awesome. It's a perfect vehicle for Richie and what his artistry is. And so it will forever be a song that they play with towards the end of their set because it's that good. So Regret.
Right on.
Regret. Totally.
All right, Christian, you're number 2.
My number 2, we're gonna kind of wrap up all of the album closers. We've picked Regret. Kyle has picked Red Wine. And my number 2, which could have easily been number 1, but I bumped it down to number 2 just because it's more of a personal one for me, in my opinion. And I might have a better reason for my number 1. But my number 2 is The Lamb off of Hot Streak.
Wow.
This song,
Cool.
it's a deep cut, though it's been played live, so Kyle, I don't know, you might not consider it a deep cut.
Well, you have consistently mentioned The
Right.
Lamb as one of
Yeah.
your favorite songs. Like I knew you were gonna pick it.
I believe we actually were hanging out. I think at a cruise once, and this conversation was brought up, and I was raving about The Lamb. Like, this song is amazing. What I love about it, besides it's probably one of their more unique songs. The more unique songs, like with riffs, what Billy does in the chorus, with his bass is, I mean, I don't want to imitate the sound, but right, yeah, I don't want to sound silly over here.
Please play bass with your mouth.
Yeah, it's just it has such a badass bass riff, badass beat, and Richie's lyrics are probably some of the deepest in the entire discography. It's the reason why I consider it a personal one of the more personal songs. It came out at a time where I was going through like a really difficult loss in my life, and that song lyrically just kind of like encapsulated the way I was feeling at the time. If I it's like it could be written in a journal the way.
Well, that's when a song is perfect, when it
yeah, that's why it could have
through
easily
stuff
been my
like that.
number
Yeah, for
one.
sure.
It kind of sounds like one of their more layered songs too. To this day, I'm not sure if in the solo, right at the beginning of the solo, right before Billy does his, there we got a little bit of bass. It sounds like there's like a violin in there. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that song. Maybe we could check on it. But
It's probably a
It's
guitar.
been a while since I listened to it.
Yeah.
it's probably a guitar because Winery Dogs with a violin, that doesn't make sense. But and then the organ is just going on the entire time. It's my favorite song of the second album, hands down. And
Well, you got
almost my
two
favorite
from
song.
Hot Streak,
And almost that's what I mean. The higher
yeah.
highs,
So
higher highs for Hot Streak.
yeah, good pick to have you on this podcast, man.
No, The Lamb is awesome.
All right, so I'm gonna go with because two of you have picked Regret, and I went Lorelei, which is in the similar base.
Regret
What
it.
happened? A bird fly near you?
A bird just flew right by me. So Oh man.
You're in its spot.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go with. I think this may have been the first single they ever put out. Was Desire the first single they ever put out, or was
No.
Elevate?
It might be.
Elevate.
Elevate was first.
They had 4 singles off the first album. I think Desire is either third or fourth.
Yeah, I think it went Elevate, Time Machine, maybe Desire.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I'm going Desire, the second track from the first record, which is just awesome. Great, powerful live song, kick ass, killer riff, and this is where Richie really hits the high part of his voice in the choruses, and where he really has that Chris Cornell sound, like in this song a lot. And I think that this song, when I heard it, really sold me on them. Like, okay, they have more than one song to them, and they can really write some powerful songs. And like, I was really excited at that time to hear the album. So, always loved this one. And I may end up being the only one picking it, which is cool. So, I was gonna go Regret, but I'm happy to go with Desire. Love that song.
I'm happy for you to go Desire too.
All right, Kyle, you're number one.
I can't believe we're at number one already.
Hey, hold on 1 second, Chris. You're a little blurry. Your camera. There it is. Okay. All right, go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, I can't believe we're already at number one. It seems like, just moments ago that I was in an entirely different room, and
Well, it looks good where you are right now.
My internet has gone down, and a bird tried to kill me, and and there's my family just walking by with our dog. This is just a beautiful moment, really. Beautiful moment in podcasting,
when you pick the number one song.
Just as a beautiful moment in life too. So my number one song is the first song I heard by the Winery Dogs. To me, it set the stage for, for me personally, Flying Colors was the moment where I was like, okay, Mike made the right decision. And I know that sounds like overly dramatic maybe, but right. I mean, I love that album. But this was the moment where I was like, okay, he really made the right decision, because now I had two bands that I immediately was super interested in, right? And it's Elevate. And so it's the first song of the first album. It was their first single. It introduced me to the band. The music video was awesome. I was literally blown away. I can count on one, maybe two hands how many moments I have really been blown away by new music once I was an adult. Like when you're a kid, everything's kind of mind blowing. It's like For Whom the Bell Tolls was mind blowing, and no offense to that, but it's like, it doesn't blow my mind anymore. But new music, especially in the era of it just not being what it once was, this was a song when I heard it, I was like, oh my goodness, that you listen to a time again and again and again and again. You're just kind of listening to wow. And so everything that we've already said about the band is true in this song. But if there is a better song than the ones I mentioned earlier to introduce this band to, like maybe Oblivion, let's say, it's definitely this one. And so it still absolutely kills live. It's their perfect mix of good songwriting, good melody and harmony with technical, just classic rock music. It's just a great song. So Elevate.
Agreed.
Yeah, definitely a strong introduction.
Live, it's great. It's the one song that everybody jumped up and started singing along to.
Yeah.
And the whole thing was really cool. Yeah. All right, Christian, what's your number one?
My number one is also from the first album, but it is not Elevate. Shocker. I agree with Roy's sentiments about Elevate, being such a great introduction, but not until you heard a later single where it really solidified this song. It's like, whoa, they're not just a one-hit wonder, which it was ridiculous to say now. But Elevate was awesome, but it wasn't until I heard Time Machine, which is my number one. Time Machine, that song just blew me away. Again, I like the slower tempo, more catchy songs. But the thing with Time Machine is that riff, that intro riff, everyone already, it's instantly recognizable. It's going on the entire time. Down, 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 down. It's such a sloshy riff. I don't know if that's a proper term.
Sloshy that was the word I was looking for. Seriously.
Right. And it's definitely the song that I would introduce. If someone were to ask me who are the Winery Dogs, that's the one that I would introduce. The Winery Dogs with, because it highlights all their vocal harmonies perfectly. There's a bass solo, there's a drum solo, the guitar solo is badass. The final chorus is, it's the chorus but just sped up. It just had, and it ends abruptly. It's, as it starts off slow, but then it just builds up until, it just basically
The ending is like amazing, and that
it's
was my like
amazing.
alternate. I mean,
What was that?
it was my alternate pick for this list, but I already had three
Yeah.
from the first album. I was like, I can't put all.
Yeah.
Can't have 4 picks from the same album.
Right,
But yeah.
right. What is this? Just
I almost, this is on my short list also, but I thought maybe one of you guys might pick this one. So yeah, it's
no,
badass.
it's definitely
song,
my
for sure.
favorite in the entire discography. It trumps The Lamb for me just because it's the one that I would show someone that's never heard of the Winery Dogs. This is what they're all about. This is
Cool.
Okay, for my number one, I'm gonna kind of keep it simple again, but I'm gonna go Elevate also. Hard not for me, hard to not go with this one as the top choice. It's just always been the number one song from this band for me. And again, after seeing it live recently again, I've seen them live a few times, but it hits hard, and it's just a catchy song and you can crank this one in the car and it's just great. It's just awesome. So yeah, I mean, I think that first album, like you said, Kyle, it's gonna hold up for a while, and it's 10 years already, which is insane. I mean, some of these albums come out and in the blink of an eye, it's been a decade. But it's cool. I'm glad that they're still a band. I'm glad they're still touring. I think it's good for them to have that vehicle to do something different that's successful. And, I guess if you're overseas, overseas from us, if you're in Europe, UK, stuff like that, they're about to hit over there and, melt some faces over there. So anyway,
they are touring a lot for this album, which is cool.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't added up all their tour dates, but it feels like this is going to be their longest tour, which is awesome for a third album from a band that's a super group. Effectively, there you are.
Yeah.
So many dates that they're going to have to like put it in too small of a script to even read it.
They're gonna have go on the sleeves, the front.
well, I think that's what's worked for this band is that a lot of times these projects come out that claim to be a real band that's going to be around, and they do one album and then no one hears from them again. And and they've put their money where their mouth is with this thing, and that's why it's built back up. That's why they have the fan base. So,
or they do an album and then they tour it for like 6 dates,
right.
like Black Country Communion, cough, cough. So
anyway, hey, we made it through. You
We
look
did
like
it.
you have a great afternoon going over there, man. So enjoy the rest of your time. All right, guys. Hey, we'll see you again soon. Chris, Kyle.
See you guys.
See you,
Signing off.
everybody.
All right, see you guys.
Check out the Winery Dogs.